Call this meeting to order. Please be advised that FATV is conducting an audio and video recording of this meeting for public broadcast. I see no one in the audience recording. At this time, I ask that all electronic devices be placed into silent mode. All right, I am Councillor Cruz. I am joined tonight on the Finance Committee by Councillors Walsh and Councillor Kuchar. I invite anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to please approach. Seeing no one, we will get right on to our agenda. The first item on our agenda today is 083-25. Order the City of Fitchburg hereby approves the expenditure of grant funds awarded to the Parks Department by Coffee Corp in the approximate amount of $9,000 for the purpose of beautifying traffic signal control boxes with murals. It's my understanding that we have Director Bunnell via Zoom. He has not logged in yet, so we will move on to the next agenda item and we will table that one for now. We'll give him some time to log in. Moving on to 084-25, order the City of Fitchburg hereby approves the expenditure of grant funds in the approximate amount of $84,579, representing the Commonwealth of Massachusetts' share of the required match for their participation in the U.S. Department of Transportation Safe Streets for All grant program. To talk about that with us, we have Director Murphy. Director Murphy.
For allowing me to speak tonight, Chair Cruz. I am bringing this before you. This is a request to accept a match that the state is providing to us for our SS4A federal grant. You already accepted the federal grant, which was in the amount of $339,036. At the time, I neglected to bring this state match in front of you, so that's what I'm doing now. So this is approximately 20% of the total grant amount. The entire project is going to combine both funding sources, and we'll be creating a road safety action plan, an ADA transition plan, which is about planning for ensuring that we make all of our roads and sidewalks accessible, and a couple of safety improvement demonstration projects, specifically at the intersection of Bemis and Winoosknock Road, where the rail trail intersects. So those would be demonstration actions that could become permanent if they're effective.
Okay. Thank you, Director Murphy. Do I have questions for committee members?
Motion to accept.
I just have a couple of questions. So these are the Safe Streets grants that we get, Complete Streets. They're a pretty big part of how we improve a lot of the community, and especially with the ADA sidewalks and stuff. The Bemis and Winoosknock, the right turn only, that has seemed to be fairly effective there. Right at that road of we're by the rail trail there. Right,
coming up from Bemis to Water Street.
From Water Street, correct? Yeah. And what else? Sort of, you said it's safety presentations there now, or projects?
So we would be implementing some demonstration projects to do some additional safety improvements. So I don't have all of that in front of me, but they're temporary activities. Maybe putting another speed sign, or things that aren't permanent there. Additional bollards. I apologize. I don't have that actual project implementation in front of me. We applied for this grant. It's been a slow roll with the federal government on this one. We're still in the contracting process, even though we got the award quite some time ago. And it hasn't been top of mind for me. As a matter of fact, I keep waiting for us to be told that it's not going to happen. But we actually did just get a contract this week. So
terrific. Well, thank you very much for that. And I think we should just keep operating as business as usual and hope for the best. The ADA is definitely a challenge that we have to face when fixing a lot of our sidewalks and getting them up to code. So we get a lot of requests for people to paint sidewalks and crosswalks, and we can't always just do it because they're not ADA compliant. So that's a challenge. So I'm definitely glad to see some additional funds that we can meet that challenge with. Do we have a motion?
Motion to accept.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept. Seeing no objections, it is approved. We're going to go back. It looks like we have James Bunnell on. Is that correct, Dan?
I'm here. Can you hear me, Councilor Cruz?
We can. So just for the viewing public, we're going to jump back right to 083-25. Order the City of Fitchburg hereby approves the expenditure of grant funds awarded to the Parks Department by Coffee Corp in the appropriate amount, the approximate amount of $9,000 for the purpose of beautifying traffic signal control boxes with murals. Director Bunnell, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I apologize that I couldn't be there in person, and I apologize. I was in the Zoom, but I couldn't talk to you at first, so I apologize. But here I am now. This is a $9,000 grant that, pending your approval, hopefully, the city was awarded to help go with the arts that the city of Fitchburg has centered around a lot. With the blessing of Commissioner Erickson and the mayor, we've tended to notice that murals in the city that help beautify and eliminate blight in the city don't get vandalized, knock on wood, very often or at all. And one of the larger complaints that we receive at the DPW and in the parks are those traffic signal control boxes that you see scattered throughout the city that do get vandalized with various types of graffiti, stickers, etc., which then we have to take the time to go remove the graffiti, make them look neater, bring them back up to, you know, a as best as possible condition. And this is something that has been done in a variety of other municipalities. I did share some pictures and examples with Mrs. Cronin to hopefully share that she shared with you guys. If not, I'll be more than happy to share with you. But this will be as an application process, and it's to award not just one traffic control box, but there have been 18 that have been identified throughout the city. Downtown, there will be a historical aspect tied to it, and then there are other ones that you probably have seen around at different various, whether it's near the bridge, St. Bernard's High School, near the fire station on Summer Street, different areas throughout the city that have these traffic control boxes that vary in size. And this grant will be to basically be awarded to, once approved, there'll be like a committee established. People will have to submit their samples of art to what they want to do. And if approved, they have through the fall to clean, paint, and paint a mural on these traffic control boxes to bring a little life to them. And instead of the dingy gray or black or rusted colors or graffiti boxes, we'll have some nice visual artwork and appealing artwork throughout the city.
Thank you, Director Bono. I just want to make note for the record, we've been joined by Councillor Boschman on that. Do we have questions from committee members? Councillor Walsh.
Director Bono, will there be a directive to the people who apply for this as to what would be acceptable artwork and what would not?
Yes, that's part of the application process. The 4 boxes that are on Main Street, those are going to be tied to some type of historical related feature to them. The other ones we're hoping to center around the themes of where the boxes are located, whether, you know, one of the samples near the fire station from a different community, they painted Dalmatians, a mural of Dalmatians near the fire station in another municipality that looked really neat. Other ones in other communities that I can just compare to, one of these traffic control boxes was near a library, and they made it look like a bookcase, and it was really cool. Other one was near a park, and they made it look like a beehive honeycomb type thing. So there is, like I said, we're going to request samples of the art to hopefully fit. People do have an option to choose where they would like to paint, but that final say will rest with the committee that will be established to go over these applications.
Okay, thank you. Those options sound really cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. Councillor Boschman.
James, question for you. I've been to different towns where they did that. Who's going to maintain the boxes after they're painted and then they get damaged by somebody, say?
Well, that's part of the process. So the intent is to not have them damaged by doing this. As I don't know if you were in the room yet, Councillor, as I had mentioned earlier, that the DPW, the Commissioner, and the Mayor, along with other communities, when things are touched up or done like as a mural or like a visual art piece within the municipality, these tend to deter people from vandalizing them. If the box is, God forbid, like somebody got maybe it was an accident or is damaged like that, it's unfortunate, but the artist would have to come back if they wanted to repaint it and do so at their own undertaking. This is like a one-time type fee to paint a mural or a piece of art on these boxes. So if anything were to happen to it, the DPW is not responsible to clean it or anything like that. If the art, well, we would obviously clean it, but if the artwork were damaged, we would ask the artist if they wanted to come back and take care of it, they can do so, or once it's clean, it'll be left as unfortunately is.
All right, the only reason why I asked you that question, if you all recall, not too long ago, probably a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, Lower Main Street, they painted a big mural on the wall at Store 24, and probably 6 months to a year, not even a year, they went over there with somebody went in there with some graffiti, and they sprayed all over it. And it stayed that way for a while, right, Liz? And that's why I asked these questions. Don't get me wrong, I like art if it's really neat and it's cool and it makes you really think, even though I'm not an artist and don't get your hopes up here that I'm going to go all on board here. But I just want to make sure that we get a plan and install here that you may have somebody else come along and say, I'm an artist too, and take a spray can when nobody's working and start spraying whatever he wants to on them. That's the only...
Well, that's kind of, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Counselor. That's kind of the point, too, of this, is that we don't want graffiti in the parks. There is the form of art known as street graffiti that if somebody wants to share their talent and does this, they can do it in a professional manner to show off their art. If someone's just being a jerk to be a jerk, unfortunately, we can't control everybody in what they do, but this is hopefully geared as a deterrent to help improve the city and deter people away from just using that blank canvas now as for whatever they want, because now they're, in a sense, damaging a work of art.
Yeah. I yield the floor. All right, James, thank you very much. I'll think about this. I yield the floor.
Thank you, Councillor Boschman. The chair recognizes Councillor Kuchar.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. James, is there like any way that as a provision of accepting the funds from the grant that they almost have an obligation to maintain this box? Almost like if a business was going to adopt an island, so to speak, it would be similar to that?
Basically their obligation is to paint it and take care of it. The DPW is not, like I said, responsible for touching up or anything like that. So when an artist is hired, it's all outlined in the grant acceptance piece that they're hired to pay for the material, to clean and prep the box, then pay for the supplies to paint the mural, the approved mural, and then if anything were to be damaged to it, this DPW is not coming back in to pay them again or to, other than to remove any unsightliness. But that's basically, it's similar to the murals that are on the backside of the buildings and the parking garages and things like that. We hire those people to come and paint their murals, and then they have their work of art throughout the city, with the hope is to, like I said, deter that blank canvas from somebody coming in to just go to town whenever they feel like it.
But there would be no obligation for them to return if, say, what Councillor Boschman was saying, if somebody, painted graffiti over the art, would there be some sort of provision with acceptance of these funds in order to force them to come down?
To force them to come back and redo their artwork?
Yeah.
I can look into adding that as a provision, but as it is, there's not really, like the funding is not, they're not getting a lot out of it besides to display their artwork, as it is covering all the costs within geared that. So like each box, the small traffic control boxes, someone is getting like an amount of between $250 and $300. And for the larger control boxes, up to $500.
Got you.
So
Okay.
I know there's going to be a lot of the artist's time to go into doing something like that. Worst case, if they can't come back, then we would just have to paint over it all gray or black, wherever it is.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I yield the floor.
Thank you, Councilor Kuchar. Real quick, I just want to acknowledge Coffee Corp, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly because thank you, Liz, it's spelled with a couple of threes. Thanks to Coffee Corp for this donation, this grant, and for the work that they do moving Fitchburg into the culture-driven art and capital downtown. That was very generous of them to donate this money. 18 traffic control boxes, that's about $500 per. And this is murals and art is a proven method to deter graffiti, especially in urban areas. So I think it's a great idea. It's a great way to think outside the box. And it's a great idea for the city to be able to control what goes on those boxes. Sometimes we get some very inappropriate artwork out there. And so if we can control that as best we can, I'm all for it. And it's a proven method. Artists will see other artists and they don't want to tag it with their own graffiti. So I'm all for it, and I'm ready to entertain a motion.
Motion to accept.
I have a motion and a second on the motion.
No, I'll accept it. As long as they put my picture on it.
Okay. All right.
Artwork, Paul.
We don't want to scare people, Paul. Come on.
Seeing no objections, it is approved. Thank you, Director Bunnell.
Thank you guys for having me. And it'll be tasteful, Mr. Boschman. It'll be a tasteful caricature of
See
Mr.
Paul as a
Boschman.
Venus de Milo.
Yeah.
Moving on. 085-25. Order the City Fitchburg hereby approves the expenditure of grant funds in the approximate amount of $150,000 from the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities Community Planning Grant Program to develop a regional housing production plan with the City of Leominster. Back with us, Director Murphy.
Thank you. So this is pretty straightforward. What we were looking to do is create a housing production plan. So a plan for how both the two communities working together can increase our housing production. We don't have a predetermined goal of how much housing we need, right? That would be a part of the process. I would anticipate that we would work together to hire a consultant who would work with us in that process. And we're at the very early stages. Obviously, we have to accept this first, and then we'll be sitting and meeting with the City of Leominster. We did obviously get their support when we applied for this last year. So we're actually looking forward to this. I think it's overdue.
Thank you, Director Murphy. I'm going to ask the question that's on everybody's mind. Will the City of Leominster be matching our investment?
No, this grant was specifically to do a Fitchburg and Leominster housing production plan. Right. So we, in effect, partnered to apply for the grant funds. So the grant funds will cover both communities. So I wouldn't expect that it would cost more than $150,000 to create a two-city housing production plan.
You're going to get some more questions. Councillor Boschman.
When I read your report, I thought this was going to be for the MBTA area. Am I right?
No.
No, not the whole citywide?
This is citywide for Fitchburg, citywide for Leominster. MBTA, our zone already exists, right? So this is, it probably helped us to be able to get this grant by being able to acknowledge that we're an MBTA community, or both cities are. And I'm sure that our transit-oriented nature gives us some extra points when we apply for this type of a grant. But this is really so that we can look holistically at the two communities, where our housing needs are. We could be looking at what we have plenty of, what we don't have enough of. It would be market rate, affordable housing of all types. It could be, hey, we have single people that need more studios. Maybe we need more studios. Anecdotally, we kind of have ideas of what we need more of, but this will help us to really use data to understand what we really need more of and how to get there.
I yield the floor, sir.
Councillor Walsh.
I think this makes perfect sense. I think it's nice that we play well with others. And I think since Leominster is a twin city, I think it's about time the twins got along. So I yield the floor.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. I would absolutely agree. I think a regional plan would be terrific, and partnering with Leominster more would be very, very vital to the city. I am curious, though, so we've got the grant, essentially. Well, it seems like we sort of did more of the heavy lifting on the grant. How does this
Correct.
partnership play out?
As the lead in this role. So my expectation is that I will be scheduling meeting with folks over in Leominster. We'll be sitting down together, talking about how we're going to procure the consultant service. You know, we both have on-call consultants, or do we want to go out to RFP? But it is likely that it's going to be our office that does that RFP. I'll certainly encourage them to participate and offer. So yes, the work is to do that is probably on us, although at the same time it gives us more control over the situation. So there's a benefit to that as well. But then once the consultant is in place, I would anticipate the consultant would drive the process, and that they would really take the lead in working both Fitchburg and Leominster. You know, as similar as we are, we actually have very different characteristics, both topographical and demographical. So
This is true, yeah, and I'm sure, and I encourage this will be an equitable partnership that makes sense for both parties and both of our needs, and does not end up being one-sided partnership. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Do we have any objections?
No, not yet.
Seeing none, it is approved. Moving along to 086-25, order the City of Fitchburg hereby approves the expenditure of grant funds in the approximate amount of $330,000 from the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities HousingWorks Infrastructure Program to support the Green Acres Road and Sidewalk Replacement Project. Director Murphy.
thank you. So many of you may have heard of MassWorks. MassWorks has now been sort of split. Right, so HousingWorks if it's connected to a housing project, MassWorks if it's connected to an economic development project, although probably still housing too. So we applied under the HousingWorks program. This is really for design expenses. It would be great if we could pave and do all the sidewalk for $330,000, but we're only going to get the design. So we're looking at just redesigning. There'll be some tweaks, some catch basin improvements, but really the roads are in very poor condition. The sidewalks are in awful condition. They need to be replaced. The Housing Authority has told us that once the roads are repaired, they would like to take over the maintenance of the snow plowing and the sidewalks. Whether that happens or not, this is still a good project. Yeah. So it would also, there is a portion of Green Acres that abuts Water Street, so there would be some minor improvements there as far as the sidewalks right along that edge. Mm-hmm. But primarily it's within the Green Acres site.
Thank you. Questions from community members? Councillor Boschman.
Liz,
Yes, sir.
my question to you is that I took a ride, or I went on Zoom, you get the yellow man, and you can look at the road from Google's. Mm-hmm. I didn't see the sidewalks to be really that deplorable on Normandy Road and stuff, where you're coming off Water Street and you take your first right. I mean, I get a place here, you get part of it asphalt and the rest concrete. But I would say what I saw, the sidewalks weren't bad. I mean, anything to make anything look better. I mean, you're doing Daniel Street, and Daniel Street, once it gets done, once they start putting in the sidewalks, and which they start doing, you ought to see it. Looks very, very pretty. It lightens up the neighborhood and makes the neighborhood feel rich. And I got no problem with that. My only problem is going to be, are we going to put granite curbing in so they can't drive up on the sidewalk and park their cars there? And there's number one.
I know that is DPW's standard is to do, even when they want to do asphalt sidewalk, they're still doing granite curbing because the asphalt curbing is just, it's no good. It doesn't last.
Now, I'm going to support this. Don't get me wrong when I'm asking these questions, but I want to know, are we going to start enforcing some of the rules that we have on the books about parking on the sidewalks? I mean, we're putting,
Councilor Boschman, that's really more of a question for the police department.
well, she's got a program here.
She does, but I'm not sure she's in a position.
Well,
to answer.
I don't want to support her work. She ought to know she's a city planner.
Correct, but it's the enforcement of parking is very much of the police department's purview, and I don't think Commissioner Murphy's in a position to answer.
Well, I think if the Commissioner Murphy would say to the police department, we get a $350,000 grant, and we're planning on spending $350,000 on the improvement of sidewalks down there, and 2 weeks after they put them in your ward, sir, like they did over here on Ward Summer Street, and a week after that, they were parking their cars on the sidewalk.
In that case, I would say that that falls on me as the city councilor of Ward 6 to alert the police department and try to get them on board. But Director Murphy's, that's not really in her job description.
You know, I certainly can't compel a colleague to do anything in particular. I can have a conversation, but I can't compel a colleague. And I certainly can have the same conversation with the Housing Authority, too. You know, they have a role to play in even though the streets are public, you know, it's their housing complex, so they could certainly be talking to their tenants about staying off the sidewalk once the sidewalks are replaced.
Okay, my final question to you, this got to be legal.
Let's hear it first.
My question to you is that you come up with $330,000 for Normandy Road, the Green Acre project, but throughout the city, our sidewalks are deplorable throughout the city. Are we going to shoot for more grants, like for Water Street area, in Ward 1,
Yeah.
your area, Ward 3, Ward 4? I mean, they're deplorable.
We just submitted a new earmark request to Senator Representative Lori Trahan's office for $1.5 million for Water Street corridor sidewalk and lighting improvement. This was an earmark that we had actually requested and was approved in last year, but then when the continuing resolution happened in Congress, they ditched all the earmarks that had been approved. So we lost that earmark and we're reapplying. So we are going after other sources for other neighborhoods. This is not the only neighborhood that we're working on.
All right. As long as I can see improvements throughout the city, I have no problem. And more improvements in my ward, too.
Yeah.
I'm not putting my ward down, I know, but we're like a big pie here. Everybody gets a piece. And Boschman likes the biggest piece, but he can't get it all the time.
We'll do our best to make sure that the pieces
Yes.
of the pie are distributed equitably, Councilor Boschman. Thank you. Councilor Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm a counselor at large, so I care about the entire city. I have a question. You said that this $330,000 is basically for the plan,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
And so at some point in the future, we may be looking for additional grants to actually complete the project once the plan is completed.
Correct. Yes, so I would anticipate that we would complete this design work over the next fiscal year, and then we would be in a position that around this time next year, we could be applying for the construction funding for this.
Yeah.
You know, in the meantime, the Housing Authority is also working on, they have a plan to create a new administrative building and community center on a vacant piece of land within that same property. And then ultimately, they want to
That's your ward.
redevelop isn't the right word, modernize, rehab, perhaps add housing units there. That's a much broader, larger plan. So, but this does help set the table so that, you know, those projects, you know, you really will have this complete transformation when it's all done.
Okay, and I just wanted to ask, would HousingWorks be maybe a source of that kind of grant?
Yes.
Again?
Yeah, it would be housing.
And I know that Secretary Augustus is sort of making like the tour of Housing Authority buildings, and so I know that he's very interested in making improvements to the housing authorities
Right.
throughout the state, so.
Honestly, I
yield
think
the floor.
Thank you,
there's
Councilor Walsh.
a ton of opportunity at Green Acres
Yeah.
because there's still some land left there.
Yes, there certainly is, and Director Boschman and company are doing a terrific job. The MassWorks grant in particular, HousingWorks infrastructure program, does Green Acres fall into sort of that more appealable category for people to get that grant? Is it because it's
Yeah.
affordable housing? Is that more where these grant lean to?
It typically has to it's existing. It's actually a little bit unusual because usually it's a new housing project. So, but I think that because the state also knows that there are some long-term plans for increasing the density at the Green Acres, that might have helped us with this grant.
It's just sort of a little more background for you, Councilor Boschman, how this was chosen.
We don't want to pack them in there like sardines either, Chris. Remember that
No, we do not, Councilor. I don't think it's the plan. I think it's to
No?
improve the land and improve the property.
Yeah?
Do we have any more comments or questions from committee members?
No,
Motion to accept.
I have a motion and a second to accept. Seeing no objections, it is approved. Moving on to 087-25, order the City of Fitchburg hereby approves the expenditure of grant funds in the approximate amount of $60,100 from the Community Compact Cabinet Information Technology Grant Program to support the city's 40U program with the purchase of handheld ticketing machines and software. Director Murphy.
Yeah, so we were very fortunate to get this grant very shortly after we applied. It's exciting. We had just gotten 40U up and running. It would have been better if we had gotten the grant first, but we have it up and running. We're doing it a little bit of an old school way with spreadsheets to keep track of things. A little bit of OpenGov and a little bit of spreadsheets, but this software that we, and actually ticket books, right? So they're using ticket books right now. This software will give, just like our parking enforcement officers have, handheld ticket machine that'll spit out the ticket with a picture, like they can take a picture with it's connected to their phone, and they print out that ticket, they leave it there, and then they come back and they to the office, and they also mail a copy of it to the property owner. But then all of that information will integrate into the system that the ticket machines are connected to, and we'll be able to build out that system. It'll be, we'll be able to get rid of the spreadsheets. We won't use OpenGov as much for that because that's really kind of a clunky way of doing it. OpenGov is a great tool for permitting. It's not as good a tool for code enforcement as permitting, but we make it work. So then once we have all this, so this is helping with the software system, the ticketing machines, and a couple of years of the service. Because it's one of those software services that you have to renew every year. So once it's all built out, we'll have 2 years of service, and then we'll have to keep renewing it. But we're going to buy 5 ticket machines, so we'll give one to PD. They can use it for snow and ice. We'll give one to fire department, so they can use it for tickets. And then we can keep expanding, and as the buildings, so police and fire fire and building don't work under 40U. They work under a parallel Mass General Law called 148A, but it's a very similar type of law which allows them to have their ticket appeals heard by a municipal hearing officer. It actually existed before 40U, but they'll be able to use this too. So we'll be able to just keep buying handheld tickets as we need them. So, it could be something that if it's a great tool, maybe police want to look at this for the future. Other departments that issue tickets could be using it. This is what Revere uses, and they liked it quite a bit, and we got to see their system, and it looked pretty cool.
Thank you, Director Murphy. Questions from committee members? Councilor Boschman.
When you say the machines and you plan on giving one to the police department for snow and ice,
Yes.
makes a big difference now.
It does.
It's not that I'm against the police department or that and snow, but I am against the snow and ice because I got a funny feeling that you're going to nail the residents, but yet we'll come downtown and we'll plow the sidewalks on Main Street. And I have a hard time to swallow that. And my residents have a hard time to swallow it. I don't think if we're going to do for one, we do for all, or we don't do for none.
I agree with you.
So I think we ought to come up with a plan on that 40U, because if you're going to use that for a reason, I'm going to be making an issue out of it, because I don't believe in that. I don't believe that we should be plowing the Main Street area in front of businesses, and then you're telling a lady in my ward that's 80 years old, you got to get out there, hire a kid when she doesn't have a lot of money, but she's living in her house, and say, you got to shovel your sidewalk. that's not going to fly good. If it flies good with you guys, there's something wrong with us. It's just not right.
Councillor Boschman, I don't think the object of for 40U is not to punish anyone or anything like that. I think
I
it will be used.
understand that.
It will be used at the discretion of the different departments, and just like we use our discretion currently as we do. But I do think there's a lot of sidewalks in front of properties owned by residents of the city that are not managed and maintained the way they should be from snow and ice, and they're not all 80 years old, and not all of them have that luxury. I have personally, and I'm just saying, I've personally taken care of sidewalks for elderly constituents myself. So it's unfortunate and it stinks, but I've also had a constituent hit and injured very badly by a vehicle in traffic because she couldn't walk on the sidewalk. So these are the things that we need to determine and consider, but I don't think it should hold us up from adopting something that we desperately need in the city, which is efficiency in a municipal hearing officer, especially in some of our problem areas, and are consistent abusers of our leniency.
I think it is a balancing act.
It is.
And, and I have faith that you're going to let the police department know that you expect fairness when it comes to enforcement.
Yeah, well, councilors know. We sit here and remake the rules.
It is on the record, Councillor Boschman. Do I have any other questions or comments?
No, that's it for me. How
Motion
about
to
you?
approve.
I have a motion to approve and a second. Seeing no objections, it is approved. Moving on to our final order of the day, 088-25. Order the City of Fitchburg hereby approves the expenditure of grant funds in the approximate amount of $243,130 from the Department of Energy Resources Green Communities Division for LED lighting at Long Show Middle School. Director Murphy, it is your show tonight.
It really is, yes. So I was shocked to find out that some of our schools still have fluorescent lights in there. So we were eligible to be applying for the Green Communities again, and once we found out that we had this very good project of converting over the fluorescents to LEDs, it was kind of a no-brainer to apply for it because ultimately it's going to save an estimated $32,000 a year in electricity costs for the city and for Longshore Middle School. So we're fortunate to work with Karen Chapman at MRPC, who has helped us through the application.
Sorry about that. I was in a hurry to get here.
It's because he walked in late and he missed that
Yeah, no,
announcement
that's
about
exactly
silencing
what
phones.
He's telling me about the Celtics.
We don't need any more Celtics news, that's for sure. Director Murphy.
Yeah. So MRPC is helping us. We're actually meeting tomorrow Friday morning for a kickoff meeting with the school department. We will have to procure a contractor to do the work. The state has been very good to us because I didn't really have a clue about what to do with this application, It looks like a good program. So this is a pretty simple one. I think once we get through the schools, then any projects we want to take on after that are going to be a different type and maybe a more complex and not just a straight like replacing lights. But once we finish this, if we so desire, we could apply for other things.
Thank you, Director Murphy. Do we have questions from committee members? Councillor Boschman.
Two questions.
Yes.
Number one, how come you applied and not Fitchburg? Fitchburg Public Schools applied. They didn't do it. Why are you applying for the public school?
Well, the Green Communities program is really a citywide program, so it's not that different than my office applying for funding for engineers that those are going to be carried out by DPW. So it's the same kind of an activity. In the past, the last Green Communities project was managed by, can't believe I'm blanking on his name, the facilities director.
Russ.
That we have a void where it comes to being able to take on that level of work. So our office does a lot of grant funds, or manages a lot of grant funds. It's sort of a natural fit. We took it on.
Now, my final question. With all this money that they're saving up there, do we get it back into our kitty, or does this they pay their own bills up there? And like, you just said we're going to save 30,000. If I'm not mistaken, they saved a whole heck of a lot of money at the Longo. They're also saving a lot of money. No, the Longo's over there. Memorial, sorry, the Longo, and now Fitchwick High School with the solar panels. Are they taking the money that they're saving from these programs and reinvesting it in our schools?
I wish I could answer that question. It's a good question. I don't know the answer. I do assume that they receive the utility bills and they pay them directly out of their school maintenance utility budget, and that savings over time, we would benefit from the savings as the total cost of school expenses is down and our net school spending portion goes down a little bit. That would be the hope.
Yeah, as long as it's not going to the Chiefs and not enough to the Indians. I mean, see their pay go way up if they're taking that money that way. I don't want to see that either. That's the only reason why I'm asking that question. I wish Mr. Shelley, I think it's Mr. Shelley, isn't it? I wish he was here today. The guy that's ahead there. What's it, Mr.
Probably
Roach?
be Mr. Roach.
Yeah, Mr. Roach.
Yes.
I wish he was here today.
Yeah.
I was
We're
hoping
working
he was
with
here because I was going to tell him that let's hold that. But since you're talking for them, I guess if they get no questions, I'll make a motion we accept.
Second.
I have a motion to accept in a second. Seeing no objections, it is approved. It concludes our business for the evening. The Finance Committee will meet Wednesday, the 28th.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn in a second. Seeing no objections, we are adjourned. Thank you.